I think I have an advantage of not being a scientist, because I'm not a scientist. But, there was a time when science, it seems like sometimes I look at things, and I think that there was a time when it was almost like the whole world was involved in science, especially with the space program. The space program was a big deal when I was a kid. This thing to go to the moon, it really was a big deal. See, things have changed, and I think it's not that science really slowed down or anything, but it's that, like, nowadays we have so many things. We have, like, cable TV with so many channels, and people have satellite TV, so that there's so much stuff to look at. When I was a kid, there was only, like, 5, 6 channels. And when they landed on the moon, if you were watching TV, that was it, because you didn't have cable. You didn't really, at least here in Chicago, we didn't have cable in the 70s. I know that cable TV actually came around back as early as the 50s. You could look it up. But anyway, the thing is that we didn't have it until like the 1980s or something like that. But we didn't have like lots and lots of channels, and we didn't have lots and lots of options. But the science things that were going on were very, very exciting. And it seemed like everybody talked about that, and that was what the teachers wanted to talk about, and that's what everybody, so there seemed to be this tremendous thing around science. Now I think people get involved in debates nowadays. Everything is a debate. It's all debating, fighting and arguing, and no more exploring. Maybe it's all an illusion anyway, because maybe there were debates back then and you just didn't have it. It just wasn't shown. It happened in little private rooms. It wasn't open to the public. There are a lot of advantages in today's modern world. If I wanted to look up some facts, I don't have to get up and actually go to the library. I can just click on, the internet and look up stuff. I can order books. And now with my little reader, my thing, which is called the Nook, which is basically it's like the Kindle, Barnes & Noble's version of it. I can actually download a book like that instantly. I don't even have to have a physical book. I mean, the technology is just interesting. I think it's not that science has died. I just think that there's not this great unity in a sense. And it was unified in a way only because we had limitations. I think maybe a lot of people wouldn't really be watching the moon landings if there were like 500 channels on TV and there were lots of other shows going on and they didn't interrupt the program. You know how when I was a kid, when something like that happened, like when they landed on the moon, they say, we interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin, the Apollo space program, whatever. So every channel had it. You didn't have an alternative channel to turn to. You flicked that channel. And back in those days when I was a kid, you actually had to get up and turn the TV. You didn't have a remote control. You had to actually physically get up and turn the channel. But it used to be so much. It would just be fun, actually, to me, and I was just fascinated with it. I remember the first one of those programs I actually watched all the way through was when they had Apollo 8, which was the first one to actually orbit the moon. And it's interesting because here in Chicago, we actually have, I think they still do have it, the Apollo 8 capsule. It's at the Museum of Science and Industry here in Chicago. I know the Apollo 11 capsule is in Washington, D.C. But we also have, I think, one of the Gemini rockets, too. The Gemini capsule, the actual, we don't have a whole big thing, just the capsule part. But it used to be so different. Science was just exciting, even if we didn't understand it. It's just this, it sparked so much imagination. Going to the moon, space travel. And as a kid, I was always interested in science. I still am. One thing that has never died in me is curiosity. That has always been a lively part of who I am. I'm a very curious person. I always want to learn things. I'm 51 years old. We'll be 52 in November. I still am like a kid. I want to know things. I'm curious about things. I'm always fascinated when I hear facts about things in science. It's amazing to me. I think that you shouldn't lose that sense of wonder. There are lots of things going on that are very interesting in science, but it's just that nowadays, with the way things are with the media, there's so much things spread out all over the place. So, everybody's watching Dancing with the Stars and this other stuff and whatever, and very few people are looking at science. But I think science is a wonderful thing. It's just as interesting as any of these other things. It's just something to think about.